Right Honorable Prime Minister, Your Excellencies, the heads of state and heads of government, our co-hosts, Mr. Andrew Mitchell, as well as Melinda Gates, the First Ladies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to thank the government of the United Kingdom, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the United Nations Population Fund, and other partners for organizing this summit. The issue of population in Africa must be put in a proper context and discussed accurately without complacency, exaggeration, or panic. Africa is the origin of man 5 million years ago, and is also the cradle of civilization in Egypt. Until 100,000 years ago, all humans lived only in Africa. So you are all either Africans or ex-Africans. When the diaspora of human beings out of Africa started, however, the out of Africa population grew much faster than we, the stayees. About 100,000 years ago, the population in Africa was 1 million people, while that out of Africa was just a few hundreds. However, by 1500, the out of Africa population was 300 million people, while the population in Africa was only 47 million people. By 1900, the human population of Africa was about 129 million people, while that of out of Africa was about 2,000 million, 2 billion. This slow growth of population in Africa was due to tropical diseases that kept the population in Africa low. Africa is a huge continent of 11 million square miles of land. You can fit the United States of America, China, India, Brazil, and the whole of Western Europe, and you remain with some space to spare. Yet, even today, the population of the whole of Africa is only 1 billion people, less than the population of India, which in land area is a mere 1/11 of the area of Africa. Some of the African countries, such as DRC, Congo, Central African Republic, Congo-Brazzaville, Gabon, Zambia, Angola, and many others, seem to suffer from underpopulation rather than overpopulation. DRC, for instance, is about the same land area as India, but with a population of only 15 million people by the time of independence in 1960. DRC is now about 70 million people. Therefore, the problem is not population per se, and I'm glad I came here to make this point. The problem is not population per se. The problems are two. Number one, underdevelopment and lack of socio-economic transformation on the one hand, and child spacing for the good health of the babies to be born and for the health of the mothers. This is a very important point because when there are these discussions going on, I do not want the impression to be created that you can maintain underdevelopment and at the same time ensure health of mothers and children. We must use the words socio-economic transformation. In Africa, I would like to hear those words more. The African society must undergo socio-economic transformation. Africa, or in this particular case Uganda, needs to metamorphose from a pre-capitalist, quasi-feudal society to a middle class, skilled working class society. That social metamorphosis will inevitably bring down the population growth rate. In Uganda, the population rate of growth is now about 3.4%. Middle class societies and industrial working class societies do not have time or space to generate children. The economy of Uganda has been growing at the rate of 6.5 per annum for the last 25 years, in spite of inadequate supply of electricity and high transport costs. We now have finally a small surplus of electricity, and we shall never allow ourselves to lag behind again in electricity supply. We are also funding all the major roads for bituminization as well as the railway. This will lower the transport costs in the economy. I expect our rate of economic growth to double because of the lower cost of doing business in the economy and also because of a more educated population on account of our universal primary education, which was introduced in 1997, and our universal secondary school education, which was introduced in 2007. Higher rates of economic growth will enable Uganda to become a middle-income country as soon as possible. In the meantime, we need to sensitize the peasants about child spacing. Because here I am categorizing the Uganda population in two parts. The middle class don't need much sensitization because the middle class ladies have no time to spend generating babies endlessly. It is the peasants. They are the ones who need this message. The summit offers us the opportunity to reflect on our efforts to improve adolescents and women's needs in order to empower them, improve their health and welfare. Young people and vulnerable groups should be better able to make informed choices for healthy sexual and reproductive health lifestyles. Uganda is making steady progress on the 8 Millennium Development Goals. We have reduced poverty and promoted universal primary and secondary education for both girls and boys, thereby increasing the literacy rate. Consequently, life expectancy in Uganda has gone up. We have promoted women involvement in all spheres of our national development. The Uganda Demographic and Health Survey of 2011 showed that infant mortality has reduced very considerably. However, our progress on Millennium Development Goal number 5, improving maternal health, is still not on target. In developing countries, women continue to die during pregnancy and childbirth. Yet the causes are well known and largely preventable. Here in Uganda, we have been able to achieve the infrastructure outlay to tackle this problem by having health units in all the 1,600 sub-counties of Uganda. but these health units are not fully used, partly because of ignorance and other bottlenecks. The use of relatively cheap and available technologies will lead to significant improvement in the living conditions of women. With a glaring over 200 million women lacking access to family planning facilities worldwide, concerted efforts must be made to ensure their access, equitable distribution, and affordability. Natural methods should also not be forgotten, taking advantage of the fact that days of ovulation are limited in the monthly cycle of a woman. Nobody should administer family-controlled drugs to rural illiterate women without explaining fully the implications of such an act. Family planning should be out of informed choice, not out of manipulation. In Uganda, we have prioritized the reproductive health concerns of women, and programs have been scaled up to this effect, including antenatal care, youth-friendly services, emergency obstetric care, as well as family planning, particularly encouraging birth spacing. Government has increased funding for medicines through the national medical stores. I want to salute those partners who have been working with us on these health issues. The government of Uganda is committed to ensuring an enabling policy environment to allow women to exercise their family planning choices and strengthen service delivery. The government of Uganda will increase government allocation for family planning supplies from $3.3 million per annum currently to US $5 million per year for the next 5 years, and will mobilize Now, this is where I was talking to Melinda outside there. When you are dealing with the backward countries of the world, you are not dealing with one problem. You are dealing with very many problems. Here I mentioned a figure of $5 million from the government of Uganda per annum. This is, of course, a small figure. However, this is because we have decided that you cannot have a modern country without electricity. So, billions of dollars are being put in electricity and the roads and the railway. Because without those, you cannot have a modern society. Now, because we don't have enough money to cover all these areas, we have put a lot of money in the other 3 areas, and that's how we remain with this small figure for this area. But it will give us a higher threshold to deal with this problem eventually. This will be supported by the development partners. The other portion of $5 million, we hope will be supported by development partners. To prevent stock out of family planning supplies, government will strengthen the national medical stores to improve distribution of reproductive health supplies to public and private health delivery units. Our plans are set out in a roadmap that will ensure we reach our goal of universal access to family planning, consequently propelling Uganda toward the achievement of her national development plan goals of reducing maternal and child mortality and attaining the middle-income country status. As leaders, we must rededicate ourselves to emancipating adolescents and women by addressing reproductive health needs in the context of socio-economic transformation. I insist on this. You cannot have all these social goals sustainably without socio-economic transformation. These words, Dr. Babatunde, I would like to hear these words, socio-economic transformation, in all these international documents. Because you cannot maintain backwardness on the economic side and you think you will have sustainable social achievements. Now, this donor-supported regime, where social goals are supported by donors only, external donors, is like a stretcher case. When you put somebody on a stretcher, you can move him around by carrying him on a stretcher. But as soon as the carriers of the stretcher stop, then the person on the stretcher will also stop. Now, I don't think this is the way to develop society. So, the issue is socio-economic transformation is the base to achieve sustainably these social goals. That's why I came to this summit. I just wanted to make this point. I was told that I should spend 5 minutes, but I did not come 4,000 miles, just spend... Just spend 5 minutes and go back. This is not a theater, and I'm not an actor. As leaders, we must rededicate ourselves to emancipating adolescents and women by addressing reproductive health needs in the context of socio-economic transformation, as I said before. We must devote ourselves to increasing awareness to especially the people of the developing countries. We must raise the threshold of their willing participation in the very important issue of reproductive health. All stakeholders must be brought on board. Women do not only give life, they are the backbone of the economies in the development world. I thank you very much.